The Democrat leader.
I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, Mr. President, the House Republicans finally unveiled their health care plan after nearly 8 years without a plan of their own. Trumpcare is finally public, and each hour that goes by brings a new set of concerns and new groups that oppose the bill from all places along the ideological spectrum. Even a growing number of conservatives are expressing their distaste for the legislation, Mr. President. The fact of the matter is, Trumpcare is a mess. It'll mean higher costs and less care for most Americans. When you look at the details, you can see that Trumpcare amounts to two separate systems of health care in America. Cheaper health care for the rich, more expensive health care for everybody else. Under Trumpcare, if you make more than $250,000 a year, you'll get a huge tax break. The average is $200,000 a year because most people are way above that $250,000. But if you're in the middle class, the cost will increase by $1,500 annually, and by 2020, over $2,000 a year. Let me repeat that. You make over $250,000, your average tax break is $200,000. You're in the middle class, your average increase in costs, $1,500 up. What kind of plan is that? Donald Trump has talked about helping working America. The plan he has embraced, Trumpcare, helps the rich and hurts the average American. And that is not surprising, given all the other things that they're doing the same way. This administration continues, and health care is part of that, to talk like populists, but act like those helping the wealthy special interests time after time after time. Let me just repeat it. Under Trumpcare, if you make more than $250,000 a year, you'll get a tax break on average of $200,000 a year. But if you're in the middle class, the cost will increase by about $1,500 annually, and after 2020 by $2,000 a year. So Trumpcare is a health care handout for the wealthiest Americans and fake health care for everybody else. Under Trumpcare, if you're a member of the Trump cabinet stocked with billionaires, you're going to get a tax break. But if you're 60 years old on the cusp of retirement, but still waiting because you're not yet eligible for Medicare, Trumpcare would allow insurers to charge you more simply because of your age. Discrimination against the elderly, against those 50 to 65 who have worked so hard but don't yet have Medicare. That's wrong. If you're between 55 and 64, the total costs for you will increase $5,269 a year. Let me repeat that. If you're between 55 and 64, the total cost would increase by $5,269 a year, and that's only the next 2 years. By 2020, it goes up to $6,900 a year. For a working family, they can't afford that. What is this all about? They said it would be better care and cost less. It's worse care and it costs more. How about this? Under Trumpcare, a wealthy insurance executive making over $500,000 a year is allowed a tax break. But if you're struggling to make it into the middle class with an income of 250% below the poverty line, your costs are going to go up by nearly $3,000 a year, and by 2020, $4,000 a year. Once again, helping the wealthy special interests, in this case insurance executives, hurting those struggling, climbing the ladder to get into the middle class. And if you're a working mother and you get health care from Planned Parenthood, too bad. Trumpcare cuts all federal funding for Planned Parenthood for a year. Now, I'm wearing my red tie today to honor the, quote, Day Without Woman. Unfortunately, Trumpcare is the health care bill that forgot about women. Women are an essential part of our workforce here in America. They ought to be able to go to the doctor or provider of their choice, even if that's Planned Parenthood. When you look at the fine print of this bill, it has jagged edges. Trumpcare shifts the costs and burdens from the wealthy to the poor, from the insurance executive to the middle-class family. And the more Americans hear about this plan, the less they're going to like it. They were already against repeal before this plan came out. Can you imagine what's going to happen now as they read the details? I believe the Congressional Budget Office, when they score it, they'll ultimately show America everything America needs to know, how this bill would likely hurt overall coverage numbers and affordability, and at the same time, explode the deficit. So you're getting worse health care and increasing the deficit. What kind of combination is that? No wonder the Republican leadership in the House is trying to rush through the bill even without a score. They don't want the American people to see it. I don't think they even want their own members to have a chance to study it, because it's a near certainty that this bill will cause millions to lose insurance, as well as blowing a gigantic hole in the federal budget. So, Mr. President, in conclusion, it's reckless for Republicans to make Congress vote on this mess of a plan before we have those answers from CBO. Simply put, Trumpcare is a mess for the American people. We Democrats will fight it tooth and nail. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor and notice the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.